Welcome to the broadcast tonight. A look at the film There Will Be Blood. Joining me, filmmaker Paul Thomas Anderson and the star Daniel Day-Lewis. He plays Daniel Plainview.
The idea of exploring the world through with an entirely different experience to your own, which doesn't automatically mean that you have to make a film or create a piece of theatre to do that. It's the most obvious way to do it. But the curiosity, I mean, it sustained me so happily for the 2 years that we were working together and throughout the period of shooting, and certainly didn't then kind of shut off like a faucet the moment we stopped working. It's still there working away in a way. The work becomes an end in itself, and I think that's also true of the, you know, if you compare that fever to the fever of prospecting.
Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Thomas Anderson for the hour. Next. Funding for Charlie Rose has been provided by the following. Paul Thomas Anderson is here. His movies include Boogie Nights, Magnolia, and Punch Drunk Love. His latest is There Will Be Blood. He adapted it from Oil, Upton Sinclair's 1927 novel. It tells a rough and tumble tale of a wildcatter looking for oil, the big strike. David Denby of The New Yorker calls it an enthralling and powerfully eccentric American epic. Also joining me, Daniel Day-Lewis, who stars in the film. He plays Daniel Plainview. Here is the trailer for the film. I am pleased to have both Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis here. Welcome. Great to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
When did you start, in your mind, as you wrote this script, think about Daniel as Daniel?
Early, but I didn't want to grab onto the thought and keep thinking this is who I'm writing it for, because that I didn't know Daniel. I didn't want to make presumptions about him or anything like that. I'd just seen his films, and I obviously respected him as an actor. I thought, well, that's the holy grail if you can get to it. But I tried to just quite honestly sort of dash those hopes and really just try to write well and write this man. But that said, it kept coming and coming and coming, that the only man for the job would be Daniel if he decided he would want to do it.
Well, I mean, some writers will say it's easier to write a character if you have in mind someone whose abilities
and I've done that before, and it's worked out really well, but I was writing differently, and it was all coming together so differently. I tried to not apply a face to it exactly, but that said, it's kind of a trick. You have to trick yourself too, because you're trying to write this man, not really write it like it's going to be somebody who's going to play it. I don't know.
It's a little bit different from the book, and the book is really about sort of capitalism and politics and socialism. Mm-hmm. Here, the twin themes are religion and business, right? Mm-hmm. How did you get there to that point?
When I found the book, it was about 6 or 7 years ago. So, you know, obviously, not living in a bubble, and there's a lot of things going on. And being from California, you know, not that far from the oil fields, right. Bakersfield, you know, and the kind of curiosity about what the hell is this stuff, and how do they get it out of the ground?
It's a great American story.
It is a great. It's sort of irresistible, yeah. And but yeah.
All right. So you get a script. Do you read it immediately?
Yeah, because it came from him.
Did you say to yourself, can I be that Daniel? Can I do this?
Well, that question mark lurks somewhere. But when things are working right, you feel yourself irresistibly drawn into the orbit of a hitherto unknown world. So the question mark it's kind of a false question, because it's already asked too late, in a way.
When you ask it, you're already there.
I'm gone, yeah. Yeah, I packed my bags. Yeah. Not without a certain degree of trepidation. But yeah, I packed my bag.
Even at this stage, you see a character and you
well, I didn't know where it was going to go. I mean, like Paul said, when he's writing it, you know, to write it with me in mind is kind of misleading, because I certainly believe, I think Paul has it in common with all good writers, that to some extent, it feels to me as if those characters are so alive already, even just only on the page, that he has begun to inhabit the world that he's creating and to see that world through the eyes of those characters, so that they're revealing themselves somehow. And that, I suppose, is very similar to the way which we work. So the decisions are kind of taken away from you, which is a blessing, really, because the whole notion that you kind of create a body out of bits of old lumber and, you know, a few memories and this, you know, kind of like a bric-a-brac shop of, you know, emotional...
Wolf dust. Wolf dust.
Wolf dust. You know, if that's the truth of it, I don't want to know that that's the truth. I prefer to kid myself that there's some kind of mystery about it.
Yeah. You had to go raise the money, or somebody did. You know, it was not easy in this case, because... You know,
they took one look at the two of us and said, no, I don't think so.
Freaking way.
Digging holes and no.
And then he says, well, you won't see any dialogue for the first 20 minutes. I can see some studio executives say, what? And then you say, well, and there are no women in this movie either, by the way.
Yeah, that went well. No, they definitely made
And then you say, my lead is going to be in every scene.
That's right. They definitely made us feel for a while that they wanted us to come over to dinner, but then they really let us know that they didn't want us to take care of their kids and that we couldn't sleep over.
Could Kate Blanchett play Eli, maybe?
Well, it's happened before. If you can play Dylan, you can play Eli.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to find somebody that's as mad as you are, and there is somebody, you know there's someone out there.
Some executive as mad as you are.
And he came in there, I won't say.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Well, the great thing that happened was that my agent stopped being an agent and went to run a film studio, so I said,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
on the
there
hook.
you go. Paramount Advantage.
Once in a lifetime opportunity. That movie you've been trying to sell, you own it.
You own it. We're into it. But it gave you guys a time to collaborate, did it not?
It did. I mean, quite honestly, the first time we tried to get the money for the movie, we didn't really know what we were doing. There's so many variables about how you shoot down a mine shaft and building the derrick and where we would shoot and all this sort of stuff that we actually had a figure that was higher just because we didn't know. And so in all fairness to those places that said no, get out of here, you know, we did need to go back to the drawing board. We needed more time to research and get it all sorted. Lots of things happened in a year. Babies were born, backs were broken, things, and it was good. And when we met back up, we knew what we could do it for. So it all ended up working out.
Now, while he's out doing this, are you getting ready for the role?
Yeah, my own quiet way, yeah.
What's your own quiet way?
Well, I spend many months in apparently listless rumination, out of which I hope something will emerge.
You're waiting for somebody to speak to you? Or?
I think I am, actually. I mean, for all that there's obvious work to be done, the most fascinating part of the work is the work that you have absolutely no control over whatsoever. That's the part of the work that frays your nerves, because you don't know if that life will reveal itself to you in any way that you can absorb it, digest it.
But you do, you and I have had lots of conversations about acting before at this table, but you went out and did familiarize yourself with the kinds of tools that
yes
they do, so that you know what they feel like in their hands.
Yeah, I mean, how long does it take to pick up a pickaxe and start hammering?
So this was one day?
I mean, one of the great advantages about you discover Plainview in a state of primitive existence, which he would have shared with anybody else that, you know, that set themselves on that course. I mean, there's nothing, you learn as you go along. They were learning as they went along. You buy the tools, you buy a donkey if you've got enough money. You probably, if you can find a partner, that's okay, but